In today's show, an NBA gambling bust, record-breaking U.S. debt, and a Virginia politician debating a robot. Plus, the government still shut down, an Illinois family faces unimaginable loss, and AI videos are getting scarily real. Those stories and more next. And here's the trivia question. Which New England state holds the records for most lit jack-o'-lanterns displayed? It's Friday, October 24th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Hello, happy Friday, and welcome back to the Flyover Podcast. I'm your weekday host, Ayla Brown. We've had a wonderful week together, don't you think? And we're inching closer to Halloween, 1 week away. Thanks for making the Flyover your trusted news podcast. We have another great show with a variety of topics, so let's take off with today's biggest headlines. The FBI says several big names in the NBA have been arrested in connection with a mafia-backed gambling ring that's been under investigation for months. Among those taken into custody are Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier and Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups. Investigators say the operation ran two different schemes. In Rozier's case, he's accused of giving insider info to associates who then placed bets based on that information. At least once, he allegedly faked an injury so the group could cash in on bets predicting a lower than normal stat line. As for Billups, prosecutors say he was involved in a high-stakes poker setup where fish, or victims, were lured into rigged games using tampered shuffling machines and X-ray poker tables that let conspirators literally see other players' cards through special contact lenses. Both men have been placed on leave by the NBA as the investigation continues. Next, the U.S. national debt has officially passed $38 trillion for the first time ever, and it's climbing fast. The milestone came just 2 months after crossing $37 trillion, driven largely by swelling costs for Social Security, Medicare, and rising interest rates. Economists warn the pace isn't sustainable. The Congressional Budget Office projects that debt servicing costs alone could jump from $4 trillion to $14 trillion over the next decade, and that debt held by the public could reach 120% of GDP by 2035. Analysts are calling it a serious long-term threat to the economy if major spending reforms don't happen soon. And in Virginia, one political debate this week looked a little different. Republican Lieutenant Governor candidate John Reed held a 40-minute debate against an AI version of his Democratic opponent, Ghazala Hashmi. Reed said he did it because Hashmi refused to join him for a traditional debate. So his team created an AI bot trained on her public statements to, quote, represent her side fairly. The debate was streamed live on YouTube under the title, The Debate That Should Have Happened. Hashmi's campaign, though, called the stunt desperate, and the Virginia Democratic Party dismissed it as a gimmick for publicity rather than real policy discussion. I hate to say that it worked. I mean, we are talking about it after all, and you can see the debate because we've linked it in today's show notes. And don't forget, if you are in the Virginia area, sign up for the Virginia Flyover State Edition. We have that and 8 other states, and you can sign up for free right now at jointheflyover.com. Here's what's happening in politics today. President Trump has reportedly called off plans to deploy federal agents to San Francisco. The city's mayor said Thursday that Trump personally called him the night before to say the deployment was canceled, though it's still unclear what prompted the initial decision in the first place. Senator Ted Cruz has introduced a new bill aimed at making sure air traffic controllers continue to get paid during the ongoing government shutdown. They're expected to miss their first full paycheck on Tuesday if Congress doesn't act soon. Meanwhile, President Trump has pardoned Changpeng Zhao, the founder of Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, who had pleaded guilty to enabling money laundering on the platform. The White House confirmed the pardon Thursday. And finally, a federal judge has struck down a Biden-era rule that expanded anti-discrimination protections in healthcare to include sexual orientation and gender identity. More than a dozen Republican-led states had challenged that rule, and the decision now leaves those protections in legal limbo. Here are some podcast extra stories that you are not going to find in the email edition. On day 23 of the government shutdown, the Senate failed to advance the GOP's Shutdown Fairness Act, which aimed to pay essential federal workers, military personnel, and contractors still on the job. The bill, introduced by Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, fell short 54-45, needing 60 votes to proceed. 3 Democrats, however, John Fetterman, John Ossoff, and Raphael Warnock, joined Republicans in support. Democrats opposed the measure, saying it would give the president too much discretion over payments, while Republicans said it offered vital relief. The Senate also failed for the 12th time to pass a broader funding bill to reopen the government. 4 members of Illinois gubernatorial candidate Darren Bailey's family were killed in a helicopter crash. Bailey's son Zachary, his wife Kelsey, and their children, 12-year-old Veda Rose and 7-year-old Samuel, died Wednesday when the aircraft went down in eastern Montana. Zachary, who was piloting, had been using helicopters as part of the family's farm business and once flew missions delivering medical supplies abroad. The cause of the crash remains under investigation by federal officials. And AI-generated videos are getting so realistic that it's becoming nearly impossible to tell what's real. OpenAI's Sora app can create lifelike clips even using real people's faces in fake scenes, a major concern for deepfakes and misinformation. Watermarks and metadata tools can help spot AI videos, but they're easy to remove or fake. Social platforms are adding AI labels, but those systems aren't perfect either. The bigger message: don't trust every video that you see online. And if you want to see an example of how this app works, I'm going to show you how. Here's a still photo of my former radio co-host and myself interviewing Patriots legend Rob Gronkowski. Just out of fun and curiosity, my co-host prompted this app to put us in fire. Boys will be boys. Here's what it did to our still photo. Take a look. Scary stuff, people. That's all I'm going to say. Still to come, Messi's not retiring yet. The Vatican just saw a royal first in nearly 500 years, and a tech startup thinks giant space mirrors could change the world. But first, I want to highlight Mercy Ships. Imagine being just 4 years old and living with a painful tumor growing on your face. That was the reality for a little boy named Dauda. His father searched every hospital in Dakar, but no one could help. For years, Dauda suffered, unable to go to school, struggling to eat, and to even speak. His future seemed uncertain until Mercy Ships stepped in. For 45 years, Mercy Ships has brought hope and healing to people like Dauda, providing free, life-changing surgeries aboard state-of-the-art hospital ships. Around the world, 5 billion people lack access to safe surgical care, and in sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. That's why Mercy Ships volunteer doctors, nurses, and engineers give their time and skills to help those who need it the most, removing tumors, repairing cleft conditions, restoring sight, and transforming lives. You can help change a life today. Learn more and donate at mercyships.org/flyover. That's mercyships.org/flyover. In finance, Target is cutting about 1,800 corporate jobs as the company looks to restart growth after nearly 4 years of flat sales. It's the retailer's first major round of layoffs in about a decade and part of a broader cost-cutting plan to refocus the business. Oil prices spiked more than 5% on Thursday after the Trump administration announced new sanctions on Russia's two largest oil companies, saying Moscow has shown, quote, no serious commitment to ending the war in Ukraine. The move is expected to tighten global energy markets in the short term. And the U.S. Commerce Department is reportedly in talks with several quantum computing companies, including IonQ, Rigetti Computing, and Quantum Computing, Inc., to explore giving the government equity stakes in exchange for federal funding. The goal is to strengthen U.S. leadership in quantum technology and national security innovation. Let's take a quick look at the markets. It was a strong day on Wall Street. The Nasdaq rose nearly 0.9%, closing at 22,941, while the S&P 500 gained about 0.6%, and the Dow was up 0.3%. Bitcoin also climbed about 2%, trading around 109,700, and gold continued its rally, up 2.4% to about $4,143 an ounce. The big mover of the day was Integer Holdings, which saw its stock drop more than 32% after the medical device maker cut its revenue forecast, saying sales of its products have been slower than expected. In sports, soccer legend Lionel Messi isn't hanging up his cleats just yet. The 38-year-old star has signed a new 3-year contract extension with Inter Miami CF, keeping him in Major League Soccer through 2028. There'd been plenty of speculation that this might be his final season, but fans can look forward to seeing more of him on the pitch for a few years to come. Women's marathon world record holder Ruth Chepngetich has been hit with a 3-year ban after admitting to violating doping rules. The Kenyan runner made headlines last year for setting the fastest women's marathon time ever at the Chicago Marathon, finishing in just 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 56 seconds. And on NBA opening night, Victor Wembanyama put on a show for the San Antonio Spurs, dropping 40 points in their win over the Dallas Mavericks. It was a tough debut for Dallas's number 1 pick, Cooper Flagg, but Wemby definitely stole the spotlight to kick off the season. In science and tech, a sound expert from the University of Bristol has teamed up with Galaxy Chocolate to create what they're calling the sweetest melody. It's a 90-second piece of music that's been scientifically designed to actually make chocolate taste better while you eat it. The idea is that certain sound frequencies can heighten sweetness perception, and yes, you can listen to it yourself through the show notes below. Yummy, now I want chocolate. And a California startup has a pretty ambitious idea. It wants to launch 4,000 giant space mirrors into orbit to reflect sunlight back onto Earth. The company says it could help boost solar energy and even replace city street lighting. But critics warn it could cause serious light pollution, disrupt ecosystems, and make it harder for astronomers to observe the night sky. Here are some additional headlines to leave you with on a Friday. Bon Jovi is back. The legendary rock band just announced their first tour since 2022 to promote their new album, Forever. It also marks John Bon Jovi's big return to the stage after undergoing vocal surgery and a long recovery, and fans are thrilled to see him back in action. In a historic moment at the Vatican, King Charles and Pope Leo XIV prayed side by side inside the Sistine Chapel, the first time a British monarch and a Catholic pope have done so since 1534. Yes, you heard me. The year 1534. You can watch that remarkable moment through the link in today's show notes as well. Meanwhile, a rogue sea otter in Santa Cruz is making waves, literally after biting a surfer and commandeering multiple surfboards at Steamer Lane. Officials think it might be the infamous Otter 841, known for similar behavior last year. One surfer said the otter even pulled him backward by his leash before lounging on another board for 20 minutes. Those silly otters. And listen to this. In Turkey, a man has been ordered to compensate his ex-wife after a court ruled he caused emotional distress by saving her contact in his phone as Chubby. The court said the nickname amounted to both material and emotional harm, and she'll now receive a financial payout as part of the judgment. Here are the results of yesterday's poll question. Did you ever own an iPod? 44% said yes, had more than one. 37% said no, wasn't interested. 10% said no, but I wanted one. And 9% said, what's an iPod? 9%. Come on now. Here's today's poll question. Have you ever visited Niagara Falls? Yes, no, or it's on the list. I have. I went in April of 2018 and I thought my dog was going to be swept away by the wind. If you don't believe me, look at this picture. I don't think I'll ever go back to Niagara Falls, though, because cold wind is not my thing, and it was freezing. Amy Hess will read the answers tomorrow. Just click the link to vote in the show notes below. All right, trivia question. Which New England state holds the record for most lit jack-o'-lanterns displayed? Well, that is in Keene, New Hampshire. They set the record for the most lit jack-o'-lanterns on display with 3,581 jack-o'-lanterns. Wow. It was represented by Let It Shine Incorporated on October 9th, 2013. Keene was the original record holder in this category and has since broken the record 8 other times. Well, that is it for your Friday flyover. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. I'm on my way to Reno for the weekend. I've never been there, and I have a red eye back on Sunday night, so I will be missing Monday with you. But don't worry, I have a fill-in. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you bright and early on Tuesday. Until then, thanks for flying with us.